Hello, everyone. Welcome into the show. We are here to talk baseball and baseball cards. I am Alex with Greg Morris Cards, and today I have a really fun show for you. We are here with two-time MLB All-Star, played for 7 years in the majors as both a third baseman and first baseman, initially with the Red Sox, went to the Diamondbacks, Blue Jays, Giants, Angels, and Dodgers. I believe I got all those right.
Perfect.
Shea Hillenbrand. Welcome in, Shea.
Man, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Awesome. I was telling a friend of mine earlier before the show that I was having you on, and he was like, you know what? I've seen some of his stuff on Facebook. He is really entertaining, and it got a really great message. And I was telling you right before we started, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is because your post-baseball career message has been such a fascinating one, and I want to talk about that. Of course, also talk about your baseball playing career as well, but everything going good with you these days? How's the family?
I'm super blessed. I've come full circle. I've been through a lot, probably more so than people experience in 10 lifetimes. And everything's great. Just made a move to Scottsdale, Arizona, just across town. I've been here for since high school, but in Arizona. And made it over here. Dream house, dream wife, dream life, everything. Having a great time.
That's awesome. That's great. So I want to start actually kind of where your professional career began. I want to just take you back to April 2nd, 2001, your debut in the majors. You're playing against the Orioles. Walk us through the emotions on that day of making your baseball debut, something you've been working on your entire career to get to.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I've never really had that question asked to me. So thank you for asking that. The exact day of walking into the major leagues. So we got to rewind a little bit.
Okay.
2001, I go to spring training, and I go to spring training. Actually, 2000, I finished the season in AA as a third baseman. 99, I tore my ACL halfway through the season in AA. So I went back to AA in 2000. And played third base. I set the league record for the Eastern League for the Trenton Thunder. Shout out to the Trenton Thunder. It was a great place to play. Set a record for the hits, most hits in the league history, and got myself back on track after a really big blow in the minor league system with a ACL tear. That could be a career ending. That could be a career setback. But I put my head down and worked really hard to get myself in a position to go out there and be able to play every single day. So 2001, I get invited back to Major League Spring Training as a catcher. And when you're invited as a catcher to spring training, as a minor leaguer, you're really doing all the grunt work. You're catching all the extra bullpens. You're doing all the things because there's so many pitchers invited to spring training that they need that extra work. But I did a couple things. I behaved like a major leaguer when I went to spring training. That's the first thing I want to convey to you guys is regardless of where you are, where you want to go is way more important. How that vision's set. Put it in your heart and your spirit and your soul and behave like where you want to go. So I was one of the only minor leaguers that was in spring training that year that behaved like a big leaguer. I went to the park every day. I paid attention to my health. I only competed against myself. I couldn't compete against major leaguers. Nomar, Pedro, Veritek, Chotniks, and all those guys. I couldn't do that because I wasn't that good yet. So I just put my head down and worked, and halfway through spring training, Veritek, Jason Veritek was walking in with me, or I was walking in with him to the clubhouse from a long day of training, and he looks over at me and he says, "Hey, man, keep doing what you're doing. You're going to make this team." And I said, "Bro, don't mess with me, man. Don't be pucking me, fool, because this is my dream." Like, that's the furthest thing from my mind. I was just hoping to be the starting catcher for AAA Pawtucket to get back on track. So comes all the way down the last day of spring training. We're in Tampa playing against the Devil Rays in St. Pete, actually. And I'm starting in the lineup. I made it all the way through spring training. And the bench coach came up to me right before the game. He says, "Hey, son, Skipper needs to see you." So Jimmy Williams was the manager at the time. And I make that walk. And I was really proud of myself. I was like, man, I made it all the way through spring. I can go all the way down. I can go down to AAA. And I could just start the season as a catcher and hopefully get a call up through the season. That was my goal. And I walk into the office, and Jimmy Williams reaches out his hand. He says, "Congratulations, son, you made this team." I was like, "What? Like, really?" I thought Ashton Kutcher was going to pop out. Like, I was getting punked. I was like, man, like, what? How do I make the team? So I went out and hit a home run that day or whatever. So when you start this season, after you break spring training, you start 2 exhibition games. We had an exhibition game against the Astros in Houston, and we had an exhibition game against the Reds, and then we're going to open up in Baltimore. So I get to the hotel in Houston. It's a Ritz-Carlton. I've never stayed anything other than a Motel 6. So I go to put my key in the door, and there's a doorbell on the door for the room. I'm like, what is this? I open up the door. This room is so vast, so big, so first class, like you see in the movies, that if I'm in the bathroom or on the other side of the room, I couldn't hear you knock on the door. So you'd have to push a doorbell. I instantly jump up on top of the bed like Macaulay Culkin, like, I'm in the big leagues. Yeah, dude, like, this is it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go to the park early tomorrow because in spring training, minor leaguers, when I played, minor leaguers had high numbers and big leaguers had low numbers. That's how you differentiate it. So if you see some of my baseball cards, top prospect or whatever, I'm number 71. And I'm like, I want to see what number I am because I'm a big leaguer. And for 2, I wanted to put on a big league uniform because they're like pajamas. It's like custom tailored. A tailorer comes into spring training and they take your custom fit measurements and everything so that uniforms fit specifically for you. Minor leagues, different story. And they do that for a reason, to make you kind of uncomfortable to have hopes to go to the major leagues because it's so hard to achieve. So I get to the ballpark 4 hours early the next day. The only people there are pitchers, rehabbers, and athletic trainers. They're like, what are you doing here, Rick? I'm like, what do you mean, what am I doing here? This is my dream. I don't know about you all. Like, I am here. So one of the clubhouse managers came up to me and says, welcome to the big leagues, Mr. Hillenbrand. Let me show you your locker. So I go over, and my locker's number 29, Shea Hillenbrand. But I'm like, 29. I'm like, dude, this is it. So I throw my uniform on. I get my glove on like I'm a little leaguer, like the Little League World Series right now. And I'm sitting at my locker by myself. And the same bench coach comes up to me. And he says, hey, son, Skipper needs to see you. My heart, my stomach instantly drop.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, dude, this is insane. Like, you didn't even give me one at-bat in the major leagues, man. Just give me one at-bat before you send me down. All those limited thoughts of perception of reality of what I've had with where I am. I didn't know if I belonged there. So I make that walk of death to the manager's office, and I go in there and I said, yes, sir, Mr. Williams, he said that you wanted to see me. Yeah, sit down, son. And I sit down, and he looks at me and he's like, you know what? I've been doing a lot of thinking. You're going to be my starting third baseman on opening day. So I jump up real quick and shook his hand. Thank you very much, sir. I didn't want to give him a second chance, and change his mind. I walk out and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't even know how to play third base. I'm a catcher. I'm like, I'm going to call time out during a major league game on ESPN and give the signs to Nomar Garciaparra, Jose Offerman, and say, hey, this is what we're doing for a bump play. And then go to the mound and tell Pedro Martinez, hey, this is your duty. Really? And like, okay, I'll do it. So that's the second thing I want to teach you guys, is that sometimes when you're called to something, you don't have to be equipped. You get equipped along the way of your calling. So I went out there and I rocked it and I did it, and opening day happens. I'm standing on the field of opening day in Camden Yards in Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm starting at third base. They announced the lineup, national anthem. I look up, I have tears coming down my face because I'm like, I did it. 5 years ago, I was playing junior college baseball. I'm the first player for the Red Sox to come to the major leagues from AA since the 70s, 30 years. I can't believe it. And I also had a confliction of pain inside myself that kind of blocked that pain of those stories that I told myself when I was a kid. 14 years old, sitting on my bed. My dad walks into my room and says, we're moving from California to Arizona. Experiences like that and how I interpret those experiences. I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. My dad doesn't love me. So that pain drove me to the top. I was able to utilize it as fuel, but I was empty inside, and I had ego stand in that place of emptiness. Ego can get you there, but you can't sustain or have fulfillment through that process. So to come back to the finish off the answer to your story, there's 2 outs in the first inning, ESPN game. Pedro Martinez is pitching. Melvin Moro's on first base. Ground ball hit to me at third base. Easy candy hop ground ball. Takes me in a couple steps. I'm not going to throw the ball to second base because it takes me off my momentum. I'm just going to come up. I'm just going to throw the ball to first base. Easy. I could do it in my sleep. I pick up the ground ball. I am so nervous because I'm supposed to be in AAA. I release the ball, and instantly when I release the ball, I'm like, no. I threw the ball over the first baseman's head and into the stands. I don't
Right.
know if seen a major league game. The stands are pretty far from first base. So I had a pretty good arm playing third base. Timeout, 2-base error. So Melvin Mora could go to third base from first base. The batter's going to go to second base from first base. But when Melvin Mora went to third base from first base, he went along the cut of the grass. He didn't touch second base. And I'm sitting there in my sorrow like, I can't believe I just did this. And Pedro Martinez, astute genius that he is, a wizard on the mound, he appealed the call. Called the play back in. He stepped off the mound, appealed him at second base. Melvin Mora is out. 3 outs, inning over. First error of my career taken away.
Wow.
I was like, this is going to be a long career.
Wow.
Next year, 2002, starting third baseman in the All-Star game. So you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you also got your first hit that day, right? Opening day.
I did.
Correct?
My second at bat. Yeah.
Yeah. And you had, correct me if this is wrong, but I think you had a hit in the first 9 games of your career, like first 9 games.
I tied Ted Williams' record for the Red Sox, first 9 games. If I had a hit in my first 10 games, I would have beat him. But
Williams. I've heard of Ted Williams. I've heard of him.
Yeah, a little Teddy ball game, right?
Yeah. Well, you had a nickname too, didn't you? Didn't you have a nickname?
Everyday Shea.
Everyday Shea. That's right. Yeah. And for a guy like you said who didn't even know he was going to be playing third base, that's playing every day at third base, a position you didn't even really. I'm sure you played it when you were younger, but weren't expecting to play that in the majors. That is an impressive accomplishment. I mean, that's really something to be proud of, I think.
Thank you very much, and I am, and I was that student of the game, and that's what I want to convey to your audience. Like you see, we need to understand skill sets have utility. And if you train yourself like what you're doing right now with your podcast, if you get it mastered and figure out failures and understand how to tweak it, make adjustments, and just keep going, like skill sets have utility. So the more skill sets you have, the more opportunities you're going to have to be able to design the life that you want, which I call the all-star life. Mm-hmm. So, off days, I remember being on the airplane coming back home, and guys are looking forward to off days. And we have an off day in Boston, and Jimmy Williams would come up to me on the airplane, and he says, "Hey, son, do you want to have on the off day tomorrow, do you want to take ground balls at third?" So just be Jimmy Williams, myself, and Johnny Pesky out there taking ground balls on off days. I'm just out there just doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And if you do it over and over and over again, you ingrain that feeling, that movement, that skill set inside your nervous system, and you give yourself a chance to have success. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many times throughout my career I get a ground ball at third base, and a routine ground ball, and I throw it to first, and after I release it, you'll never see it. I'll be like, yeah, sweet, got another one there.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I think that there's probably more major leaguers that probably wouldn't admit that experience that same thing. I mean, it's like, I mean, I don't know if it's like imposter syndrome, but it's like people who think I'm not supposed to be here, or I don't know if I belong in this diamond. And then as soon as you make the play happen, either defensively or get a hit or whatever it is, or make the pitch from the pitcher's mound, you decide right then and there, it's instant confirmation. I do belong here. Right in that moment, I do belong here. Right in that moment.
Yeah, so, exactly. You're right. You're right on that. It's just I can't express to your audience enough how difficult it is to perform at that level.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And it's crazy because a lot of players make it look really easy. Mm-hmm. And I played with a lot of players. I played with some players that made it look really easy, and I couldn't even do it. I could hit a baseball. I was really good at doing that, but I couldn't even do it. But the mental fortitude that you need to be an elite performer on the field, a global elite performer, every single night, unlike any other sport, baseball's every single night. It's very challenging, and there's a lot of things that you can fall victim to as a Major League Baseball player. And the number one thing is identity. A lot of us get lost through the process because the pressure to succeed is so great. Mm-hmm. You lose yourself through that process. And I'm doing something that the 1% of the 1% of the world do, and living out my childhood dream. And a lot of times when that pressure is so great, you lose yourself. And then when you do that, you start playing that pain-driven game. You start, it's a vicious cycle. It's very challenging. And my heart's for the Major League Baseball player.
Right. Well, since we're talking about, your early years, we might as well go ahead and show some cards, because I've got several from across your career. Normally we save it for the end, but let's just go ahead and get to it. This is your rookie card from 1999. So if you can see that there, this Absolutely. Is your So this is your Bowman Chrome. So you probably have multiple different rookies. In fact, we're going to show another one, but
look at my autograph. Like my autograph, it's like a chicken scratch. It's like, I don't know how to spell my name. I realized that doing that autograph right there with my last name has 11 letters. The only person I played with a longer last name is Garcia Parra. And I told him, your jersey goes from armpit to armpit, your name. He's like, real funny, because he thought I was meaning that he's like small and not big enough of a back to put his name on it. But I really, really quickly learned to shorten my last name because when you get to the big leagues, you want to sign as many autographs as you can to be able to have that interaction with the fans.
Now, do you remember this particular posed photograph or no?
Yeah, I think I had to go to the bathroom right there.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't remember that. That's I think, that's when I was in the minor leagues and in spring training as a 40-man roster invite. So cute little guy right there. He was lost though.
There you go. Well, you mentioned your autograph. Here's another one from your rookie year. So this is from 1999 SP, the signature edition.
I'm getting there.
So your signature there got a little loopier, right? Like you got a little loopy.
It is evolving. Yeah, it did evolve from that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's almost there, but
yeah. So you eventually get traded. I'm going to take this away. You got traded a couple times in your career, and I know that this has come up in a lot of your talks with people about what it means to get traded. And for I imagine for some players, it's a business, not a big deal. It's just it's a transaction that happens. But the trades seem to have impacted you. At least for personally and professionally for you. You get traded to Arizona. And then a couple of years later, you get traded to Toronto. How important were those in sort of your state of mind as a professional ball player when those trades took place?
Yeah, that's a great question. And with me and a fair amount of people, like I said, Major League Baseball players, we attach our identity to what we do. And I loved Boston. I never wanted to play anywhere else other than Boston. Like Boston Red Sox runs through my veins. I came up with the organization. I spent my first 2 years and 2 months with the organization. As a matter of fact, in 2003, when I was traded from Boston to Arizona, May 29th. Not many people know, but I was leading the team with RBIs, hitting 7th. I hit 49 RBIs in 2 months, and wow. Manny was behind me with 47. There's always guys on base, but I loved being there. And when Theo Epstein came into office as the general manager, I just knew that my career was going to be shortened, not because of who I am or what I was, but I just didn't fit into the mold of the type of baseball that they were going to play. And he came from the Moneyball stuff. Right. And see more pitches and stuff like that. So I was actually the first person Theo Epstein ever traded. Nomar Garcia Parra was second. I felt way worse for Nomar because he spent 9 years there. He's a franchise player. He gets traded in July and they win that year. Luckily, I was traded the year before they won. But when I got traded, I found out on the plane. We were flying from Boston to Toronto, and Johnny Damon came up to my seat on the plane and says, "Dude, we just traded you to Arizona." Wow. And I just felt like the biggest piece of crap in the world. I got called up to Theo Epstein's hotel room, and he told me. I sat across from him, and I just wanted to I wasn't in a good spot. I felt like it was a divorce. I felt like my career was over. I was on the fast track. I mean, my rookie season, Dante Bichette called me into the clubhouse during the game, and he's like, "Son, sit down. I'm finishing my career this year. I'm going to watch you next year on TV, and you're going to make $100 million." And the last guy I told that to, Dante Bichette, said was Todd Helton. So I knew I could play, but I didn't really realize that it was a business. So it really hurt me. It was just like ripping off that scab of that wound of not being good enough, not lovable. My dad doesn't love me from those experiences throughout my life, stemming from 14 years old. And it was hard. It was bittersweet too, because I was coming home. I went to high school in Arizona. I went to junior college in Arizona, and it was a homecoming, but it was bittersweet. It was really challenging. And then my character in the clubhouse was one of the defining factors of why I didn't stick with the team. And what I always like to try to tell myself was I was so good, I was too good, that I was tradable. If I wasn't good enough, they would just release me. But it was those two defining factors right there. My character not fitting in the clubhouse because I was kind of like a Tasmanian devil. and riding that roller coaster of emotions, because I didn't really have any emotional stability with myself. I just said whatever I wanted to say, what was on however I felt. And that's not really conducive to a team or a work environment. And I was the only guy tradable at that time on the Red Sox, because everybody else is kind of locked up into a contract. So
Sure. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, it's interesting that your state of mind was so like kind of negative on yourself. And I know that comes into play later in your sort of revelation about who you are and about what you became as a person after your baseball career. But you were still hitting the cover off the ball. I mean, you were still hitting well. I mean, like it wasn't like you left that organization and then just didn't do anything. I mean, you made an All-Star in 2005. I know that was with Toronto, but like, I mean, your batting average was good. You were hitting the ball. I mean, hitting doubles. I mean, this is not like a player who just like leaves a team and does nothing. Like you continue to perform. And so it's when you get traded to Toronto, I know that the ending there was not great. I mean, was that, do you think that was the beginning of your journey now of becoming who you are now in terms of like your career path when you got traded to Toronto?
My character with character values, principles, who Shea Hillenbrand was from the beginning. I mean, I was kicked out of 5-6 games in the minor leagues a year. I got in arguments with the managers on each team. I mean, I will do a documentary in my life, and let's just put it this way: we're not going to have to fabricate anything to make it entertaining. We're actually probably going to have to pull stuff out. People are probably not going to think it's real, but it was just one of those things to where going to Toronto I couldn't be further away from home. It was just I need security for myself internally. The money doesn't matter, guys. The money doesn't matter. 2005, I'm flying to the All-Star game in a Citation 10 private jet, and I'm flying for Chandler, Arizona, a private airport, to Detroit, Michigan, getting ready to go play in front of tens of millions of people. And I'm on this private jet going to my childhood dream, getting ready to do what so many people just couldn't even fathom. And I look out the window, and the thoughts and words going through my mind are, this is all it is? I thought it'd be different. When I was a kid looking up, I thought the perspective of a Major League Baseball player is like they're a god, they're a king, they have it all, they can just do whatever they want, and I just despised everything because I couldn't sit with myself by myself, because my internal world was in shambles of who I was and what I built it on. And when you're a performer, you have everything that you want in the world when you go to the ballpark, when you go to the stadium. You have a fielding coach, you have a hitting coach, you have a masseuse, you have a videographer, you have orthopedic surgeons, you have a strength coach, you have a chef, you have everything in the world to work on you as a performer, as your profession. And when I left the stadium each and every night, I had no one around me because I couldn't trust anybody. I couldn't trust anybody outside of baseball. And I figured it out. It's because I couldn't trust myself. Because I was in such a place of disparity that the only place I felt solitude was either in the batting cage training my swing because I can escape my internal world of hell, or in the batter's box in front of 40,000 people. I have a therapist and a coach I work with, and he took me through a process yesterday, and he said, hey, go to a safe space, and so you could take your 9-year-old Shea there, the little boy, so you could, we could do some repair and stuff like that with me in my personal life. And he's like, do you got your safe space? And I said, yeah. He's like, what is it? I said, in the batter's box. He's like, seriously? That's safe? Yeah, in front of 40,000 people? Yes. Safe? Yes, trust me, it's safe. It's the only place I felt safe. It's the only place I felt solitude, because I've trained, I've swung a baseball bat 1,000,000 times. And if you put yourself in a position with the mindset to focus specific on what you're training to achieve with your skill sets, then everything else blocks out. You block out everything else in your life, and it's the only place is when I was in the batter's box in front of 40,000 people. That's
amazing. And just on that note, I mean, you've talked about this many times. I'd love to hear you talk about it here. You're in the prime of your career in 2007, right? And you've made a good career financially. You've got all the trappings of success when it comes to someone who's a baseball player. And then what happens? And then tell us what happens next.
What happened with me when I played baseball, when you get on top of the world, when you apex that mountain that so many people tell you you couldn't do it, that so many of your friends wanted to do it, that when you start pursuing that dream and they fall off that mountain, they don't even want to hang out with you anymore. And it's just like, it's insane what you have to go through to get there as a player. So my perspective of a Tatis Jr. or my perspective of other players right now that are playing, that maybe a Robinson Cano or whatever, that it's easy for a fan to be able to do that. But the thing is that, man, here I am on top of the world. I have everything. I'm flying private jets. I have 3 mansions. I have 6 cars. Who needs 6 cars, man? Seriously? Someone who's trying to feel their ego needs 6 cars. I have 300 pairs of shoes. I have everything I ever want. I have my newborn son, and I have everything I ever want, but I don't have anything on the inside. I was empty. And that pain had become so severe that I had become numb to everything and everybody around me. And that's such a scary place to be. And so many people and so many fans are there right now in their world. You don't have to be a Major League Baseball player, a celebrity, or someone who's a notable name to go through these experiences. And this is why I share it with passion. I share it with passion. And I have so much energy around this because I don't want people to feel that pain that I felt when I was on top of the world. And when we're on top, when we're in that spot of nothingness, we're in that spot of just being numb, we run numb and flee from those pain points in our life. And I said, you know what? I'm out of here. I just disappeared after year 7. I knew I was going to play till I was 40. I was 32 years old. I was invited to spring training with the Texas Rangers. And I'm done. Like, I can't do it anymore. I have nothing left inside me. My tank is empty. My soul is aching. I've attached all that pain to the game of Major League Baseball, to my dream, because I didn't know who I was. And that's the voice I want to spread to your audience, is that some people right now listening to this, they don't know who they are. They don't feel like they could be accepted. They feel like if they say something about where they are, it's a sign of weakness. It's a sign of come on, dude, you got to work at it. Just do it. No. All of us go through this stuff. So I had a crazy idea to pursue my second childhood dream, because I was that kid in 5th grade that when Mr. Murphy came around in class and said, all right, guys, we're going to dream big. What do you guys want to do when you grow up? And I'm in the back of the class vigorously raising my hand. And I said, pick me in 5th grade. And he's like, all right, Shea, I'm going to play Major League Baseball and I'm going to own a zoo. And all my classmates laughed at me. And I said, what do you mean? I'm going to do it. Yeah. It was ingrained inside my DNA. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what separated me from the rest of the pack, because you have to have that vision, and you have to make that vision become tangible, make it into reality, and speak it into existence. And you could do it regardless of where you are. So many of us have given up, and so many of us have walked away from that dream because life's knocked us on our back. This is the last thing I thought I'd ever be doing right now. I thought I was going to ride off in the sunset with millions and millions and millions of dollars, and sit on my front porch and not be around anybody, and just sit behind the compounds, the confines of my empire of a house that I built. But God had a different story for me, so He allowed me to go through that. I purchased a $5 million horse farm. I accumulated 300 farm and exotic animals. I had camels, kangaroos, llamas, alpacas, monkeys, raccoons. I had a zoo. And it had these animals interact with inner city disabled and child crisis children inside the community. But what I didn't realize is I needed to be rescued. I needed to be hugged. I needed to find my smile. What I want you to understand is every single picture I took with the fam playing Major League Baseball or playing professional baseball, you'll never find one picture ever of Shea Hillenbrand not smiling. Because I always had in my head, I said, you got to smile, Shea, because this might be the one last hope that this fan might have coming to the ballpark before they're one breath away of giving up on their dreams, giving up on life, giving up and going to the extreme of, you know what, I'm better off of not even being here. And I always smiled, hoping that might give somebody a chance to have one more day to give himself a chance to get out of where they are. But I didn't realize through that process and through the process of my farm and changing animals' lives and kids' lives and children, the joy that brought to me was just insane, but that didn't help because I was trying to find my smile. Yeah. I was lost. I didn't know who I was.
Mm-hmm. So like you mentioned earlier, your safe space was in that batter's box. You needed a safe space that was not in that batter's box, right? I mean, you needed that. You needed to find that. And I think it's amazing, and I think it's so great that you are in such a better spot now. And I'm very, I can't say that I watched a ton of your. I'm a Braves fan. I watched the Braves. I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. So I didn't watch a lot of
Chipper Jones named his son after me. He got on first base one day. He's, hey, Shea, what's up? Blah, blah. He's like, I
There
named my
you
son
go.
after you. And I'm like, what? So if you research it, Chipper Jones has a son named Shea.
He
And I'm
does.
like,
He does.
what? I used to watch you, man. Like, like
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
insane. Like, it's
So,
just
but I'm so happy that players like yourself are able to find something beyond the success of baseball as a source of happiness, and I think that's just fantastic. Can I get some quick hitters from you, just like real quick, like your favorite
100%.
favorite teammate to play with?
Benji Molina.
Benji Molina, catcher.
I posted it today. Watch
Oh,
my
really?
post today
Okay.
because my favorite player of all time is Roberto Clemente. I never
Okay.
watched him play, but he's got a servant's heart. He passed
Yes.
flying,
Yes.
serving people's, and it's crazy. So I play with Benji Molina in Toronto, and he was kind of in the same situation me. And I'm like, dude, this guy is something special. Yeah, he's got a heart of gold.
Benji Molina. Okay, who was the most difficult pitcher to face? Who
All of them. Everybody always asks me that question. You realize how hard it is to hit a major league fastball or a major league pitch? Check this out. As a hitter, I have one pitch in at bat to do something with. And the worst thing in the world is get into a hitter's count. 3-1, 3-0, 2-1, 2-0, first pitch, and you foul it off.
Yeah.
When you foul off that pitch and you miss your pitch and you step out of the batter's box, you know what's going through our mind as hitters? I'm done now. I have no chance. It's so hard. There are some pitchers that stood out, like Andy Pettit, sinker ball pitchers, like Ramiro Mendoza when I was in Boston. But I mean, it's stupid. I faced 92-mile-an-hour sliders and breaking balls. I faced 101-mile-an-hour fastballs. And the guys that gave me the most challenge was Greg Maddux, who doesn't throw you the same pitch the whole game. And when you get out, you feel like he's out there just laughing at you, the nutty professor.
and he's definitely not walking you. He's gonna throw it in
insane.
the zone.
It is insane how good these people are, guys. You guys have. I wish you could just sit in the batter's box one time with a major league pitcher, because it's just, you'd be like, oh, okay.
The only other quick hitter would be, I just wanted to get your take. What's one way that you would improve today's baseball game?
Making players more accessible to the fans by helping them build their brands and understand the reality of the platform that they have. The biggest thing that I missed, the biggest gift that I missed playing Major League Baseball, I was the first guy to hit a game winner off Mariano at Fenway Park. I had 3 home runs and 3 consecutive innings with the D-backs. I came up my last at bat, could have had 4 for the all-time record. I was at Randy Johnson's perfect game against Mike Hampton in Atlanta. I've been 2 other no-hitters. I was in 2 All-Star games. The greatest gift that I ever missed was understanding the platform that I have to be able to impact and add value to other people's lives. There's no greater feeling in the world, in the sports world, than squaring up a baseball. There's no greater feeling in the world as a professional athlete than squaring up a baseball, getting your swing right and just boom, just having it just explode. There's no greater feeling, but there's no greater feeling away from that than utilizing your gifts and your talents. It sounds cliche-ish. All right, Shea, whatever. You can say whatever you want. I've been there. I've done it. I've been ingrained in my DNA, is discovering who you are. My question to everybody here watching or listening: how do you know what you want if you don't know who you are? And those traumatic experiences that we have and the stories that we formed with the emotions attached to those stories have blocked us. See, the things inside of you, the parts inside of you that nobody sees, is what's blocking you from your greatest gifted potential. All of us. So we don't understand it. We don't know how to navigate it. So we end up riding off in a sunset, shackled to the status quo, complacent and mediocre, thinking like, you know what? I can't do it. Shea can do it, but I can't do it. Or this guy can do it, but there's no way I could do that. These are just the cards I've been dealt. I'm just going to deal this. I'm going to go to this 9 to 5, and that's fine if that makes you happy. But so many people are not fulfilled through the process. Now, here I am on top of the world, cashing $400,000 paychecks every 2 weeks, and I'm miserable. Flying private jets, 5-star meals, $3,000, $4,000 meals, buying whatever I want. When I go to the gas station, I don't look at prices. When I eat a meal, I pay for everybody. I'm living the life in front of millions of people, with girls holding up signs saying, will you marry me, Shea? I'm doing autograph signings for $10,000 an hour, and girls come to the table crying and shaking just because they get to meet me. But if they only knew. And for me, life had to humble me to discover who I am. I have a voice. I didn't have a voice playing Major League Baseball. I didn't have a voice on top of the world. And if players understand how to find their voice, understand how to find their value, understand how to find the impact, they could have way more success. I think of the person because of my mind right now is Paul Goldschmidt. This guy, Mark Gray said, this guy's Jesus in a uniform. This guy can't do anything wrong when he's with the D-backs. But the thing is, like this is somebody who has it figured out. This is somebody who's having a career year in a town he's making an impact. Mm-hmm. If you can make an impact, you have to be on top of the world to make an impact. You can make an impact today by going out your house and looking at somebody, just giving them a smile and making them feel noticed. When you do that, the feeling that you get is unlike anything other.
That's awesome. That's such a great message. I love it. I know I want to be respectful of your time. Can I show you a couple more cards? Just real quick. So this is from 2000.
Lane for me.
Oh no, it's fine. 2004. This is your first full year, I guess, in Arizona. You get a nice look at your defensive skills here. So this is you playing third base, I guess. Are you
first base? First base.
That's from first base.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the card says third base. I guess it's just they got the picture.
Well, I was a third baseman, but what happened is Richie Sexton got hurt. He had a check swing, dislocated his shoulder out for the season, so they moved me from third to first, and I ended up hitting 310 for the D-backs that year. But check that out, guys. Hitting 310. I had 580 plate appearances at bats. I played every single day. If you do the math, I failed 400 times out of 580, and I hit 310, and I made millions. So you got to understand how to navigate failure. Don't let it define you. Let it refine who you are through that process.
Perspective. That's great. And then
flashing the glove. That's the same glove I used in the Randy Johnson's perfect game. I still have that glove.
Oh, is it? That's great. That's awesome. Were you a multi-glove kind of guy, or you stuck with the same one every time?
I crushed baseballs. I could have went out there without a glove and still did as bad as I did with a glove. So that glove I had my whole career. And if you look at the outside of it, like where it's rounded, that's what kind of stops the ball if it's not in the pocket. So what we did is my trainer, athletic trainer, he took the stitches out, the leather out of the end, and we put like cardboard in there from a notebook. So it made it more stiff. If the ball hit that, it wouldn't flop. It would be stiff. And I still have it in there. It was a perfect remedy.
That's awesome. Bats though, were you? I mean, you went through a lot of bats. Were you a heavy bat guy, light bat? What was your
S318? I swung a C271, which is the most balanced bat from Louisville. Okay. So when you get to the big leagues, you can start customizing bats. I swung a C271 my rookie season. And then when Manny Ramirez got traded to Boston, he would swing a S318. And I used one of his bats one day in the game, and I hit 2 home runs. And I'm like, I need this. But I think they gave Manny different bats than me. Like the franchise players, the more they give them better bats. And my bats weren't as good. But I just stuck with the S318 my whole career. You got to understand, guys, it's not in the arrow. It's in the Indian. It's right here.
There you go.
It's in your forearms.
Here's one of your cards from Toronto. So this is
miserable. Look at my face. I'm miserable. I hate myself. I hate my life. I'm like, in my mind, I'm cursing out the photographer. The photographers are super nice. You have different stations, and I'm like, dude, I hate this. I hate you. Take this picture because I got to go cash my paychecks and get on my private jet so I can get out of here.
Yeah,
that's reality.
Compare that image to this one.
I mean, I that's still fake. You know what I mean? It's still fake.
Okay, fair enough.
That first image. I'm just telling you the truth of Shea Hillenbrand. And man. I never want to go back. I would never want to go back. I would never want my kids to play Major League Baseball because the pressure at that level is insane. Wow. If people want to do it, I have minor leaguers reaching out to me. I have big leaguers reaching out to me to try to coach them one-on-one, and I'll do it, but it's not going to be what you think, man.
Wow. Yeah. One other one, the last one I'm going to show is this one. I think this is a good one because it shows your follow through on your bat there. Or
that's
on
when I was young. That's in spring training. I'm still in the minor leagues.
Oh, that image is from spring training. Okay.
Yeah, you wore that jersey in spring training.
Okay.
So back then, and man, like my spikes, and I'd wear that ankle guard because I'd foul so many dang balls off my ankle. It just
Yeah.
hurt. So, but at that point in time, like 2000, 2001, like, man, oh my gosh, I could lace the ball.
It looked like you were going opposite field. You were just taking the ball the other way on that one. You think?
I would just hit line drive. I'm gap to gap guy.
Okay.
And if I hit it out front, I would hit home runs. I'd hit about 20 home runs a year. I'd hit about 45 doubles a year. I'd sit around 85 to 100 RBIs. Could you imagine how much I would get paid now if I did that?
Yeah, that's a great number.
I'm going to make more money now doing what I'm doing now than I ever did in my Major League Baseball career. And I'm doing it because it's a byproduct of impacting lives. And when you impact lives and when you add value to people, when you understand how to figure out your unique value proposition of who you are to separate yourself from the pack. I separated myself from the pack playing baseball. It's flooded. Like the way your way to the top, it's like it's so flooded with so many people. The way I separated myself was I understood who I was. Pedro Martinez told me it in the shower when I was in spring training in 2000. In 2000, we were in the shower in spring. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in the shower with Pedro right now. This guy's and I'm in a minor leaguer. And he's like, son, let me tell you something. He said, it's not how much you learn, it's how quickly you learn it, which gets you to the big leagues. And I sat there and I did a lot. And I was like, you know what? To decipher what he said, what it means is like how quickly you learn yourself. Okay, I'm going to take this information. How can I take this information and apply it to who I am and not try to conform myself to that person or make myself like that person or make myself like that person? Because when you're not yourself, you can't have a unique value proposition. You can't be separated. And if you want to get paid, you have to be abnormal. Abnormality gets paid. That's why we got paid so much money, because we're abnormal. I could hit a curveball in high school and you couldn't. That's just the biggest difference between you and me. It's not that, there's some talent there and fast twitch muscles and quick processors in my eyes and stuff like that. But you have to become abnormal. And in the space that I'm in right now, it is flooded. This is a $4 billion industry every single year, the self-help space. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to find who I am through the process. I'm going to discover gifts and talents. I'm going to find energy. I'm going to find passion. I'm going to figure out what separates me through authenticity and vulnerability. And I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to share my message. And I know my voice is going to be heard by the people that are supposed to be heard by. I'm not worried about anybody else. I'm not worried about Tony Robbins or Ed Milet or these big players in the game that are worth $500 million. I'm not worried about Manny Ramirez. I hit in front of Barry Bonds. I can't do that. I always competed against myself in a space, and I always say I was a level 7. The highest potential I reached in the major leagues was the ability of like a level 7 player. How can I compete and have success against 10s, 11s, and 12s? That's figuring out who I am, competing against myself, and putting the work in day out and tweaking my stuff to refine that skill set, because skill set has utility. These are the things I want to convey, and I teach people because it takes no talent. It takes committing to it and finding something that keeps you up at night. That dream, that vision that you have. Every one of us has been given a dream and vision, but life's kicked us in the butt and knocked it out of us. And that voice has become so faint, and it starts to become a whisper, and that vision and intuition becomes non-existent because we allow those limited beliefs and thoughts from the experience in our life derail us. So the thing is like, what is that vision? What is that dream that you think about that you can't kick? It could be this. It could be doing a podcast with baseball cards. But is this your vision? If so, scale it to the masses of what you could do. You have it inside yourself to do it. So each and every one of us has that vision. Each and every one of us has that dream. And if we pursue that and give that to the world, that's the greatest gift you can give yourself.
Love it. That is so powerful. And listen, I think that there are people, there are innumerable numbers of people who have heard your message and it has made a difference in their life. And I on behalf of all of them, I thank you. I mean, it's been really great to hear, because as someone who has been to the peak, like you said, and realized that it wasn't what you thought it was, people need to hear that, because not everyone makes it to the peak. Not everyone makes it to the halfway to the peak, and people struggle every day with their deficiencies or their just their everyday struggles, and they need to hear it from someone who they saw play at Fenway Park, or they saw hit a home run off Mariano Rivera. They need to see that, and they need to hear about that from people who've made a success. That success isn't everything, and then it's about being true to yourself and knowing who you are. I just thank you so much for joining us and for sharing that message.
It's my honor. I'm grateful. And this nothing makes me more excited than doing this. So,
and by the way, I couldn't hit a curveball. I couldn't hit a fastball. I couldn't hit anything in high school.
I can get you to hit one easily. I could get a bum off the street to hit a baseball.
Well, my daughter,
I got the cheat codes.
my daughter's in softball now, and she first got to start hitting the other day. She's just 6, but and she liked it, but she more just had fun. It's just, about being with her friends. So.
Yep. And at that age, we just teach a little bit and stir up the hunger, because it takes that hunger to go out there and work extra, because you have to work extra outside of what you do at practice and games. So a lot of times people overcoach. Keep it super simple. Stir up that hunger and just let them whack away.
There you go. Where can people find you? Where can people hear your message? Plug where people can find you.
Yeah, my coaching is allstarlifeexperience.com. And then you can reach me at sheahillenbrand.co. Somebody purchased sheahillenbrand.com because they thought I was a celebrity at some point in time and thought I'd buy it from them, but I'm not going to do that. I'm on all socials. I reside on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Strongly encourage people to go to your Facebook. There's videos all over the place there. You will learn something, you will be entertained, and you will hear a very positive message from Shea Hillenbrand. Go to the Facebook. I would recommend that. But there you go. Thanks again for joining us, and you take it easy. I know that you are living your best life. Continue to do that, please.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to our paths crossing again, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.